and welcome to Maker Monday with the Warren County Library System. My name is Sandy Roberts, and I'm the Makerspace Coordinator for the library. Every week, I come to you with a fun maker project to let us get creative, to invent new things, to build new skills. So you can always find me here at 2 p.m. on Mondays with something fun to try. Today's project is an upcycled fused plastic bag placemat. These are really great for camping, they're great for picnicking, they're great for outside. And if you don't want to use them as a placemat, they also make a great sit-upon. So if you're, at an event or if you're camping and it might be a little wet out, you can put these down and sit and keep yourself dry. And this fabric actually you can use for a lot of things. You can fold it and make bags out of it because you can actually sew it. So it's very versatile. It puts to good use some of those bags that might otherwise end up in a landfill or have to be recycled, which takes a lot of energy. And they're pretty easy to make. Quick note today, we do want to be very careful. Today we will be using an iron, so this is definitely a project you want to make sure you have parent permission to do, okay? And you also want to work in a ventilated area or outside. All right, I am following along on my phone, so if you have any questions, make sure you ask. And let's see what we need to make our cool placemats. These are so easy that you can just make a ton in an afternoon and have them all summer long. Okay, so we need a good sharp pair of scissors, okay? You can also use decorative scissors for the finishing if you have some of those around. You're gonna need a washable marker because we want washable marker that we can take off to do our measurements. A good ruler. You need, of course, plastic bags. Now, okay, you need at least 5 plastic bags for this project because you want to make it thick enough. As you can see with mine, I had ones that had like a company logo on it. You can, of course, color over that and hide that if you want to. But if you can find the kind that don't really have a logo on it, those are really great. Even if you just use them for your outside layers, they will do a good job of kind of hiding the logo on the inside. So at least 5 bags. And then you're going to need parchment paper or wax paper. This is because when we iron the bags to fuse them, we don't want any of that plastic to end up on our iron or on our work surface. So we're going to use this to protect our equipment. And then you're going to want some kind of a surface to work on. So I have a big piece of cardboard that works out just nicely. If you have an ironing board or something like that, just make sure you're protecting your surface from heat because you don't want to damage it. And then I have just a bunch of permanent markers, which is how I decorated this. And what's really fun is that you can make them for the whole family, and then everybody can decorate their own placemat and to have for picnics and for outdoor use. So that's the basics of what we need for our equipment today. It's pretty simple. We don't need a lot. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to switch cameras, and you can meet me over here. Okay. So first things first. Oh, where's my camera? That is weird. 1 second, folks. Technical difficulties. I'm just going to see if I can get this working. I apologize. This is very strange. Okay. Let's see if we can get... There we go. Sorry about that. I got a new cable for my little camera setup here, and it seems to be giving me issues. Okay, so we've got our plastic bag. The first thing we're going to do is cut the bottom off of the bag because you can see that kind of pulls the bag in, and we want to be able to lay it flat. So you're just going to kind of square your bag, fold in those sides as neatly as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, like that. Okay, so you can cut the bottom of the bag off, and you really only need to take off that last like 1/4 of an inch. Okay, this doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to trim our plastic at the end to get it nice and square and perfect. So like I said, you just kind of want to get that off. And this you can keep, you can braid this and make bracelets out of it. So you can use that material for other things, or you can recycle it. Then you're going to take this, you're going to turn it inside out if you don't want the logo, okay? And that will just help to obscure the logo. Now, here's the thing. I actually really like the design on this one. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So I'm actually going to go ahead and do this one right side out. Okay. Now I have got my other bags prepped already. Let's see if I can. You want to take a moment to really get these kind of organized. Okay. Now I am going to be working on, I have a big piece of cardboard that I'm going to work on here. I'm going to take my mat out of the way. Oh no, 1 second, my bags all fell on me. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm going to start by laying down a sheet of parchment paper to protect my surface. I'm going to lay down my top bag, get it nice and flat. I'm going to get the rest of my bags and I'm just going to make a stack. Okay? Make it as neat and as flat as I can. And you're just going to want to, here we go. Just kind of organize those as best as you can. It does not need to be perfect. If you want to use like a little clothespin to hold it all together, you certainly can. And you can see, in this case, not all of my bags are the same size. So if you're able, try to use bags that all are the same bag. And you may also, if you are concerned with COVID, you may want to consider letting your bags sit for 3 days before you use them. And this is definitely something that you want to wash your hands before and after. Okay. Whew. Okay, now I've got them all laid out. Another sheet of parchment paper over the top. So now I've got my stack to work with. You're going to start with your iron on medium, and each iron is going to be a little bit different. Each plastic is going to be a little bit different. So you're going to want to test a corner to make sure that you don't burn or melt it too fast, but that you are getting it to kind of melt down. So I'm going to go ahead and just give a quick test. Yes, that looks pretty good. I've kind of been playing with this, so I know that this setting works. And this is where we want to make sure that we have a parent's permission and help if we are one of our younger makers. And then you're just going to go ahead and iron, 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 keeping the iron moving. Okay, you don't want to have it sit on any one spot for too long. Okay, this takes a little time, takes a little pressure. I usually prefer to stand to do this. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that because you're not seeing me, you don't care. So kind of like you can do whatever motion seems to make sense for you. I kind of vary it up, but I like to kind of push out towards the edges because I try to get it as flat as I can in the center, and it's not going to be perfectly flat. That's okay. We're not looking for perfection. These are kind of meant to be just fun and upcycled and great for, informal use. This isn't something you're going to use, necessarily at the dinner table for a nice dinner. Though, I mean, some of you may be talented enough to make them look that good. And if you can, I definitely want to see your creations. So I'm just, again, kind of pushing out from the center, keeping that iron moving, making sure that I never touch the bag directly with my iron. Okay. Now I'm just going to move this around a little bit because it's a little hard for me to reach. I've got cord limitations here. I'm just turning it around and finishing iron the other side. You want to really make sure that you get the edges too. Okay, you can always go back, and what I usually do is I'll go back after I've cut it, and I'll show you that, and just kind of seal those edges up really well. Okay, now I'm going to do a flip because I want to iron from this side as well. Now, I want to be careful because my parchment paper is a little small on this side, so I'm going to switch. Good. I found it really helps, just like if you've ever done an iron-on transfer for a shirt, it really helps to do, I like to do both sides. I find that I get much better fusing. So again, I'm just moving my iron around, keeping it warm, and you might need to adjust as your iron heats up too. Because the important thing is you do not want to burn your plastic. And I've got a little bit of a bubble there. I probably should have started from my better side, but live and learn. Okay. Just ironing. Okay. Now you may need to go a little bit longer. For the sake of time, I'm not seeking perfection here. I'm not going to worry too much if it's all the way sealed right now. But you would want to make sure that it's sealed. And you can see, actually, I'm going to turn my iron up just a little bit. I think it's cooled a bit while I've had it warming up and sitting out. So you just keep on going until everything fuses together. And you can see from this one, okay, it does tend to get a little bit of a texture, but it is all fused together. There we go. Now I'm getting it's a delicate balance. You got to find just the right heat on your iron. And that, like I said, is going to be, this bag that I've got on top here seems to be a little bit different as far as the heat necessary for it than my Acme bags were. Okay, so this is part of the experimentation. This is part of the fun, right? You just don't quite know how they're all going to go together. So we're just getting that last heat, getting it all bonded together really well. Let's see. Yeah, that's a little better. And you just keep on checking for those spots that need a little touch up, a little extra pressure. Now you can remove the handles before you do this if you prefer, and some folks do. It doesn't bother me to have them there, but it's totally just a matter of preference. I find they're kind of helpful to help me grab while I'm working. But you may decide that they're in your way. You can just trim those when you trim the bottom off your bags. That's okay. Okay. So you can see this is pretty forgiving. Goes pretty quickly. It's a bit of a warm day to be using an iron, I'm not going to lie. Okay. So you can see it's all fused together now. Now, like I said, if I was not doing this one on camera, I might give that a little more time to make sure it's really, really fused perfectly. All right, now we need to trim this down, and that's where our watercolor marker comes in. Turn this around. There's a couple different ways you can go about this. You can just get out the ruler and decide how big you want it. 11 by 17 is kind of normal, so that would give me to about here. Okay, 11 by 17. So that's basically the size of 2 sheets of paper together. This bag that I chose with this cool design, it's a little bit smaller than my other bags, you can see. So I don't think 11 by 17 is going to quite work on this one. Going to have to kind of just mess with it a little bit. So you want to use a watercolor marker for this because you want to be able to wash it off later. So I'm just going to put a line across the bottom. Now, if you're going to make a bunch of these and you want them to be all the same size, what you want to do is, where'd it go? I cut a piece of cardboard to be the size that I want for all of them, and then you can just plop it down and trace it. So you can make a little template. Okay. But like I said, this one is a little different size than my others, so I'm going to get more like looks like more like a 9-inch tall. That's okay. Like I said, this is pretty forgiving. You can really just kind of play with it. Now I know I want that centered, so I'm just going to go ahead and draw myself a nice straight line with that centered as a design. And aren't rulers and straight edges wonderful things, right? I'm eyeballing it right now. I'm going for it. About 2 inches. Okay. And like I said, for the others that I did for our picnic set, I actually just used a piece of cardboard as my template, and that way I knew they were all exactly the same. This one, I might just throw into my purse for when I'm out and about. Okay, so now I've got my sides marked. I'm just going to grab my scissors again, which I have misplaced. Oh dear, here they go. And you're going to see it's really easy to cut this material. Right on through. It's not challenging to cut at all. And that's why I said you can sew on this material, no problem. So you can make bags out of it. If you want to reinforce the edges, you can certainly do that with a quick stitch if you're handy that way. And you can shape these into all kinds of different things. It's a nice waterproof material. And, you know, when you're kind of done with them, it all goes right into the recycling bin, right? Because you haven't changed the material, it's still recyclable. Just because you fused it together is not a big deal. So just trimming my edges. There we go. So now I've got it nice rectangle. And then I just have a little wet cloth. Boom. Take off the washable marker. Now you can see how some of the edges aren't as sealed as others. So this is where I just grab my parchment paper again and give it one last seal to make sure everything is fused together well. Okay? Really kind of concentrating on those edges because we don't want those edges. Now, if you have damaged bags, you can still use them for this. So if your bags have little tears or anything, you can absolutely use them just the same way. Just don't use them for your outside layers. You don't want to use them for the top or bottom because those little imperfections can sometimes get worse when you fuse. So you want them definitely on the inside of your creation so that all those little flaws just get fused together on the inside. But you can use bags that have holes. So it's a really great use for maybe bags that you aren't going to be able to reuse. You can certainly do that. I'm going to flip it and just do the other side one more time. And again, this is obviously something because we are melting plastic. You're going to want to work in a well-ventilated area, have a fan on, have the window open. Oh, my iron is getting, see how it's shrunk? Look, it shrunk on me because my iron is getting a little too warm now. Like I said, this is part of the project. We want to cool my iron a little bit, and that's okay. These are all the weird and wonderful details that we love. And again, if that happens while you're sealing your edges, it's easy enough to go in and trim again. In fact, sometimes when it's warm, you can actually just kind of come in there, because it doesn't get too hot. You can actually just kind of stretch it back into the shape that you want. Kind of works. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. And then fuse it back together. Oh, that one spot really wants to just shrink on me. Funny. And that, again, is probably because I'm using multiple types of bags instead of all one bag. So, just be prepared that can happen. All right. This back one kind of shrunk on me. You can see that. That's all right. Okay, so I've got that kind of done, right? And I could keep on working on this. You can see that's where I let my iron get too hot. Okay, so you got to watch out for that. Now, the fun thing you can do is you just grab some Sharpies at this point. I'm going to go with orange. And I'm just going to go ahead and add. Maybe I'll just add a couple of my own flowers here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and add some flowers of my own to my placemat. Okay. And so you can see that the permanent markers work very, very well on that. Really easy to do. And I'm going to go ahead and add maybe, here we go, my green. Get that little leaf there. These are kind of fluorescent. I kind of like them. But yeah, so it's really fun once you kind of get the basics done to go in there and add some personality. And you can put your name on there, whatever you want. But the markers do really nicely on the plastic bag. It's really easy. So there you go. Very simple, inexpensive, basically free, waterproof placemat that you can use for picnicking in the pool and outside or camping this summer. Okay. Coming back over to my camera view. Alrighty. Wow. I've got a pile of stuff here now. So that is our basic upcycled fused plastic bag placemat. And it's very strong, very easy to make. You can whip up a bunch of these in an afternoon, no problem. Thank you so much for coming to Maker Monday today. I will be here every Monday at 2 p.m. with more fun projects that you can make at home with common supplies that are easy to find. Keep in mind that I also have coding classes. We've got Maker Camp at noon on Mondays where we do a Zoom call and I help kids with a project. On Wednesday mornings, we have Lego Lovers, which is awesome. All kinds of fun designs for Lego. And then on Friday, we have Friday STEAM at 4 p.m. and Tool Time at 5. So lots of fun things from the Makerspace online this year. And of course, if you check our website and check on that event calendar, we have a ton of fun stuff going on this year. So even though we can't be together in the library, we can certainly have fun together online and keep learning together. Make sure you sign up for summer reading if you haven't already. And I hope to be back into the library with you soon. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and take care. Bye.